Welcome, adventurers. Today we're going to turn some foam and plastic sheeting and cardboard into gangland hive bunker wall things at a gate. I started out with a bit of a plan because I wanted to make everything uniform and I was going to have to make, well, several of them, so I wanted to have a kind of a plan and pre-measure things. So sketching it out on paper allowed me to do that. Ultimately, I did away with one small detail feature, which would be a ½ inch by thick by 1 inch tall piece that's cut bilaterally into two 45-degree angles because, well, my hot wire table without a guide on it, well, with the factory guide, isn't very good. I managed to work it out so I could cut shorter pieces like these because it didn't have to cut over a long distance. With the help of toothpicks for reinforcement and Gorilla Glue initially, but ultimately switching to hot glue, I glue everything together. The sections are 9 inches long. Each one of these wall panels is 3 inches by 3 inches. The columnated portions are 1 inch by 1 inch, all of which are 3 inches tall. And the angled pieces were 1 by 1 inch squares that I cut from corner to corner on the hot wire table. You can also do that with a knife if you're careful, like an Alpha knife or like my box cutter that I use. Now I wanted to add some detail and to cover up magnets because they came back. And I got them to work this time because they're not all bunched together. But basically I traced the end of this, then reduced it by a 1/4 inch in height and width, and created a template out of that to make these EVA foam end pieces. They're just details to help add character as well as hold the magnets in place and hide their location. So it's pretty straightforward there. Now I'm going to cut, these were ½ inch strips that I'm going to run down the middle of the 1 inch columnated pieces. Again, for detail, for metal banding kind of essence there. And I cut them to fit in each section, hot glued them on. Now this is a drafting pencil. I'm using it because the unique shape of the tip, as you can see there, it creates a very effective like bolt pattern. And on the EVA and even XPS foam, it works really well to leave that dent shaped like a bolt. Now I'm going to make some walkways, which is just basically 3 inch wide by 9 inch long sections of medium density chipboard that I'm going to put drywall mesh on for a simulated grating. Not very exciting. You've seen me do this before where I measure and cut cardboard, so I'm not leaving a lot of detail on this part. To make the gate, I took the same chipboard and some small drink stirrers. I can't remember the brand, but I will put it in the details and super glue those onto the edge using some more of those same strips of EVA foam. I glue them over kind of like reinforced hinges, and of course we'll use the same drafting pencil to make the detail pattern after getting super glue on my fingers. Now here I am making a hinge almost completely off screen. It's right down there somewhere. You'll see it eventually. But basically I kind of wedge that piece, as you can see in the top right hand corner, into place, super glue the bottom to the hinge portion, put the door on, and then super glue the other top part, or the top part, onto it. Now I want to create some differentiation between the sections. So I've made open sections and the gate sections, and I'm going to paint the reinforced metal with a kind of light beige antique white, I think actually is the name of this, and light gray on the other sections that don't have openings. Black wash on everything, and let that dry. Then we switch to a dry brush, and I just used the same base light gray that I used on everything else since it's been darkened up, and that's what's going to, yep, elephant gray over everything, even on the beige parts, because it is a lighter color and it kind of gives it that dusty, dry, chipped look. Well, weather worn, I guess, would be more accurate. So that's what I do here. It's funny, this video took very little time to edit and put together, but it took forever to make because I had to make so many individual pieces, glue them together, Then make the detail pieces, glue those on, make the walkways, and glue those on. And if it wasn't for my wonderful patrons like HM Girl Potpourri and LAJ, I don't know that I'd have the motivation to do this all the time. I really appreciate them, and all of you, for subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing these videos. Now to the final shots. I made some detachable barrier sections, both fencing and little bits of wall. Here's a up-close look at a solid wall section. I even put reinforced buttresses there. Here's a section that has areas where your little toy soldiers can shoot through. Buttresses are shorter there to, not interfere with the cutouts. Corner section. And again, all this is magnetized, so you can put it together in many different configurations. You could even make outside corners as opposed to these inside corners if you wanted it to wrap a different direction. I made one corner like this that you can shoot through. The other three were not in the same design. And of course, here are the gates, all weathered up and dry brushed, all little fine details. As you can see there, these are also magnetic, so they don't come off in gameplay, and you can put them in a variety of configurations. Now, I didn't make any stairs or ladders or ramps because I've made stairs and ramps and ladders in other videos, and why not reuse those same tools in this? It's the beauty about having all your materials be, in the same place and made out of the same things and of the same style. You can interchange them, and that's the universality of this kind of modular construction, which I love. It definitely makes it a lot more interesting and a lot more user-friendly when you get in the long term, so you don't have to make 10,000 things like this. You can make a handful and just configure them however you want, just like the scatter terrain that I threw in there to give it a little life. You could use this as a long wall barrier for a city, or some sort of small fort or large fort for Stargrave or Star Wars Rebels or Legion rather, and 40k, Necromunda, all the little things. I guess I'm having word finding problems today. Well, I appreciate you all watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Now go have an adventure in crafting.